The next category in the trader personality test is about information. Now, for any of you that have been married or in a long-term relationship, it's always blown me away when two people watch the exact same thing happen and come away with two totally different ideas of what actually happened. That has always blown me away. Like, how is that possible? Well, because we actually see information differently. The data is the data, but we all look at information just a little bit differently. The second letter in your personality test is going to be about how you prefer to collect information. We have intuitive on the left, which would be the letter N, and we have sensing on the right, which would be the letter S. Let's jump into intuitive and look at some of the personality traits that intuitive people have. Now, intuitive people are all about the big picture. They want to know about the patterns. They want to know about theories. And they want little explanations about why it happens and what it happens. They're much more concerned with the future than the present, and they can often be described as creative. So again, this is people that look at information. They don't care really about the details. They want to know about the patterns, how it fits into and the rest of their ideas. So the strengths of an intuitive trader is they see patterns very, very well. Now, this is a huge thing in trading, is that patterns happen all the time and they repeat themselves over and over. And intuitive people will see these things. They'll see them before they happen. And so this allows them to get long or short ahead of big moves before a lot of other people. They are quick thinkers. They have quick, flexible minds, and they have no problem dumping one idea and going to another. They don't value tradition much, and they are very original, which means that they're going to be able to look at things a lot differently than somebody who is locked into a certain narrative. And they're also very charismatic. This makes intuitives really good coaches and mentors because, again, they understand the big pictures and they can take these very complex topics and make them simple to pass down to newer traders. Let's go through the weaknesses of the intuitives. They tend to be argumentative. Now look, before you start to argue with me, realize that that's your personality trait. I am an N. I love to argue, and this is absolutely me. So when it comes to trading in the market, remember, intuitives are big picture. We have things like patterns, and we have these things that happen over and over again. And so you start to believe, okay, this is what should happen. When I get this kind of data, we should get this kind of movement. The problem is the market doesn't always follow what should happen. And sometimes what shouldn't happen happens. This is very difficult for intuitive people because they believe in their patterns. They believe they saw the big picture and they fight the markets often. I remember as a young trader, I used to actually yell at my screen, why? My screen never answered me. It never argued back. And so I lost every single argument because I was arguing with nothing. Intuitives will fight the markets often because of this belief. Lack of detail. Again, they are more interested in the big picture. They don't want to know all the details, and they don't even need to know the details. So when it comes to trading, they're not really going to put in all the work for all the details. Things like journaling are going to be very difficult for them because for them, that's not what trading is about. Trading is about these big picture ideas of taking these positions and making money. And because of this, they typically have a pretty incomplete trading plan. We are really big on needing a trading plan to have any chance of success in the markets. And a lot of times, intuitives, they'll turn in a trading plan. It will be okay, but it will lack a lot of detail. In trading, details matter. And that is actually the number one weakness of the intuitives, is that trading requires precision and execution. Intuitives are going to struggle with the mundane aspects of trading. Journaling is very difficult. Making a good trading plan is difficult. And so they like to do the big picture thing. They don't like to be bogged down by all the details because that's not really what they specialize in. If you are an intuitive, this is what you really need to work on. You need to understand that this trading takes precision. You can't wing it. It takes precision. You have to be very exact on everything you do. If you are a sensor, you like the things that you can actually see and measure. And so what sensors they like to do is they like to focus on their senses. They are only interested in the information they can directly see, hear, feel, and measure. These people love data. They like to be hands-on learners, and they're often described as practical. So as sensors, some of the strengths of sensors is they are very detail-oriented. In trading, details really do matter. And sensors are very good at the little things. And in fact, they love checklists, they love rules, they do really, really well at this aspect of trading. They are highly structured. They are very linear thinking. They follow a logical pathway to get to the end of where they want to be. They are very good at developing trading systems and testing it and refining them until they are really good. And they are very organized. What this means is that they are going to go through every part of the trading plan and make sure that it works and make sure that they have thought of every single little thing that could happen, which makes a really good trading plan. And they're really good at journaling. They're really good at looking at their numbers and making tweaks. This is what they're absolutely best at. However, this personality type comes with weaknesses, as they all do. Overanalyze. They tend to overanalyze because, again, they like the data. So what happens is they're always about research and they want a little bit more. And if it doesn't really fit into a perfect picture, it's going to cause them to hesitate a little bit. Also, they're overconfident. Now, in the brain of someone who's linear, let's take something like an engineer. Well, an engineer, if they develop a system, let's just use electricity. An electrical engineer will develop a system where if you turn on the switch of a light, the light bulb will turn on. And when you turn it off, it turns off. Now, in their mind, there's a process to this. And if that light bulb doesn't turn on, there's something wrong with the process. And so if they can just simply go into the process, find out, oh, there's a wire that was loose, there was something that was wrong, then it will work every single time. The problem is the market doesn't work like that. The stock market is human. It is volatile. It doesn't follow reasons sometimes. People with the sensor quality, they're going to really struggle when it doesn't follow this linear matter, which the markets will sometimes do. And last is they're reserved. Now remember, these people, they love to build these systems. Sensors love to build systems. They love to test it out. So when it comes time for them to work together in a team, they find it difficult because they've done all the work. And if they see someone else who they feel hasn't done the work, then all of a sudden that person doesn't have really anything of value to them because they simply haven't done the work. A lot of times sensors, they don't love to trade in group situations. The number one weakness of a sensor is hesitation. Remember, you think in a linear fashion. And so if there is something that is out of place and something that doesn't, quote, make sense, your default is to, okay, the light bulb didn't turn on. Let's see what's wrong with the process. Let's go back to the process. Let's find more data. And what happens is that creates this hesitation. Now look, you need to follow your trading plan, but there's some times where too much research is actually negative, and this is going to cause you to miss a lot of great trades because you're trying to get more information to make it all line up perfectly. Rarely does it all line up perfectly. You need to have some mechanism as a sensor in order to make these trades in spite of everything not making sense. As you can see, both intuitive and sensors, they have lots of great qualities, but it always, as all personality traits, comes with some baggage. Understand your baggage, understand how to overcome it. That's the secret to becoming a great trader. Thanks for joining me.